karmayashyet akarmani cha karmayah sabuddhiman manushyeshu sayuktah kritsna karma krita yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha jnanagni dagdha karma tamahu panditam buddhaha tyaktva karma phala sangam nitya tripto nishashrayah karmanyabhi pravittopi naiva kinchit karoti saha nirashiryata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvannapnoti kilbisham yadricha labha santushtaha dvandvatito vimatsaraha samasiddhava siddhau kritvapi na nibadhyate. Okay, good. So in the order of the structure of the Bhagavad Gita, as we had mentioned before, the second chapter and also the 18th chapter, both of them are both a summary of the entire teaching, a kind of like a summarized fashion, the second chapter. And the 18th chapter is also, it's kind of like, all the experts say that an effective presentation is one which begins by saying, here's what I'm going to tell you. Then you tell, and then you say, here's what I just told you. This is the way to present an effective to give an effective presentation. And this is an important thing because in some differences in how people see our Shastra, Vedas and so on and so forth, they take not a complete view of the Shastra, but they just pick and choose what suits their lifestyle. And they feel this is the way it is. So for example, the Gita uses the word yogi. And those who are yogis in the sense that they just want to do some asanas and some meditation and Raja Yoga and so on and so forth, they view the Shastra, particularly the Gita, as simply espousing the yogi's view. They already come in with the view. They have a certain lifestyle. So, this is what happens. You find that people who are, let's say you have someone who's afflicted in life. who is feeling that we've all gone through that, myself included, where you don't know what you're doing. In fact, this is why I find that the teenage is a very interesting age, because that is the age where you transition from something where you don't think about your identity. When you're up to 12, you're just busy with things and learning things and playing with things, and the whole examination of who am I doesn't appear to them, and not necessary to appear to them. They're just children. The teenage is when the ideas start to appear. What kind of a person I am, and what should I be? And then you have experiences where you look upon yourself in a negative way, and you struggle with it. You try to impress people. You come up with some ideas that others don't have. You want some uniqueness. All of those kinds of things are exploratory regions of your self-identity. And then by the time you're in your 20s, whatever ideas you have formed now play out for the rest of your life. And so the rest of the life is really nothing. It's kind of like, when you are making something with, let's say, clay, and the teenage is where the clay can be molded, and later on it is now dried, and you pretty much live with what the clay's form is. This is the way it happens. So in terms of the teenage, it's a very important thing. Now, going back to the original thought, which is the second chapter and the 18th chapter, as being, here's what I'm going to tell you. Then the 3rd through the 17th chapter is what is being said. And the 18th chapter, he says, by the way, let us revise the whole thing. This is an important thing where you have to look at the totality of what the Shastra is saying. Apart from that, people that come in with their own views, they pick and choose and say, Gita says yoga. Yoga is the main thing. This is what you need to do. So if you're afflicted in your life and you start doing some Hatha yoga, that happened to me also. It is a very important thing. I remember there was a time when really I was really in a lot of tension, because I was working full-time with IBM, and I was doing MBA in the evening school at Santa Clara, and my first child was about to be born. I was very busy, and I didn't get any rest whatsoever, and it was starting to become tense. I am talking about when I was in the 20s, and there I met a yoga teacher at Foothill College. It was very helpful, just calming the mind down. And this is my first exposure to yoga. It was excellent. I really enjoyed that and really calmed me down. It was wonderful. But supposing I had just kept to yoga and not inquired into the very fundamental aspects of what this is, I would have been happy. And there I can see, it says yoga, yogi, and so on and so forth. There is support for that. Our acharyas say this is a mistake, because you have to look at what is called an analysis of what the tatparya of the Shruti is. Tatparya means what is it trying to say? What is the end point? So in order to examine the tatparya of the Shruti, you have to look at some basic things, like what does it say in the beginning? What is it going to say? Then what does it say in the end? What did it summarize? And you look at, even while the descriptions are going on, you have to see consistency of thought. That becomes the Tatparya. And the Tatparya of the Gita is the same as the Tatparya of the Shruti, of the Vedas. Vedas are the ones that have the original thought, and the Gita is simply a summarizing of the Vedic thoughts. So as you know, you may have heard of the very famous saying by Adi Shankara. So he said, what if I can remember it? Ardha shlokena pravakshyami yat ananta kotibhihi uchyate. Something like that. I may not have the exact words. Ardha shlokena pravakshyami yat ananta the granthibihi uchyate means I am going to tell you in half a verse what the thousands of Shruti Vakyas are trying to convey to you. In other words, what is the Tatparya? Now, in saying that, half a verse is over. So he only has half a verse to convey. Then in the second half of the verse, it says, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jivaha Brahma Eva Natu Apparaha. This is the Tatparya. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jivaha Brahma Eva Natu Apparaha. So he says the Tatparya is that Brahman is the truth, and what is experienced as Jagat is just Mithya, and the Jiva, what is considered to be the person, is none other than Brahman. This is the Tatparya. So in giving this Tatparya, the Gita is engrossed in explaining this basic fact in different ways. And in different ways means that this is the truth. Please understand the truth. Be equipped to understand the truth. Equipment to understand the truth, which is called Adhikaritvam, was given in the 3rd chapter in more detail. Everything was given in the 2nd chapter, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, etc., etc. Then the 3rd chapter was devoted to Karma Yoga, which is equipping yourself to understand this truth, called Karma Yoga. Then in the 4th and the 5th chapter, we are transitioning now to not the equipping ourselves to know the truth, but what is the truth that we are equipping ourselves, jnana. So if you remember, if you see, the title of the 4th chapter is Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. So the end point is approached again and again. So in a summarized fashion, the knowledge of the Atma, Brahman, is one and the same thing. Atma and Brahman are one and the same. The knowledge of it was presented in the 2nd chapter from the verse number 12 through 25th. Okay, so if you remember the 12th to the 25th, starting with Natvevaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadhipaha na chaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param. Then avinashitu tadviddhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasham avyayasya etc. All the way up to 25. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam ayam avikaryah ayam uchyate tasmadevam viditva enam nanu shochitum arhasi. So this was the crux of the knowledge of the Atma. And then it goes into some other aspects which we won't go into. Now the Gita revisits this basic jnanam in the 4th chapter from verse number 18 to 24, which we will now begin. And it does that 3 or 4 times in the Gita. So as the end point of what is being discussed in the entire Gita, the rest of that is preparation. Right? Karma Yoga is preparation, is equipping ourselves. And bhakti and all of those kinds of things are just how to consolidate it, how to look at it, etc. But the main jnanam of the Atma is specifically talked about in 2 or 3 places. And now we are beginning to visit that aspect of the Bhagavad Gita, starting with verse number 18. Okay, so verse number 18, which is the central part of the 4th chapter, is having to do with jnanam. So even the first part of the 4th chapter up to now was talking about the preparation, the infrastructure. Chaturvanyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha. Then he says, namam karmani limpanti name karma phale spriha, etc., etc. Then we saw in the last class that this is not easy to see. Not easy to see because he says, Kim karma, kim akarma iti, number 16, excuse me, kavayaha api atra mohitaha. That what is the nature of karma, what is the nature of not karma, even the experts get confused about it. But he says, please stay with me, and I'm committed to make sure that you understand this very clearly. Tatte karma pravakshyami yat jnatva mokshase ashubhat. Maybe you can close this door. Okay. So there we saw just a quick revision that tatte karma pravakshyami. So vakshyami means that I will tell you. Pravakshyami means that I will thoroughly investigate it for you so that you have no doubts left in the very subtlety of this thought. So tatte karma pravakshyami yat jnatva mokshase ashubhat. By knowing which you will be freed from a life of ashubha, amangalam. Amangalam means, ashubha means any kind of a problem in your life. Because if you look at your life, it is lots of issues. And the worst part about life is that it gives you problems when you least expect it. If you expect a problem, it's not that bad. You know, like for example, I had some blood drawn recently, and my veins are not near the surface. They have a hard time finding my veins. I expect it. So the person comes in and he says, "Hi, Mr. Kapoor, what's your date of birth?" I'll say, give them date of birth. "Okay, I'm here to get your blood," all very enthusiastic and happy and so on. "And which arm would you like?" So then they start with my right arm. And so, and they are they're thinking, "Oh, this is a piece of cat." Then they start poking. And this very happy face turns a little serious. "I couldn't find it there. Let me try this." So I said, "You know what? Go over here. Go over here." So this is, now she's poking me. Just happened again recently. Just poking me. So I'm expecting this pain. There's no problem. No problem. I know that. Just get it, and she's twisting the needle and so on and so forth. Then finally, if she's not very good, or he, then they take it from my hand, which is the one. But in any case, all of these problems I am aware of. As soon as my number comes and I go in to get my blood taken, I said, "Oh, some pokes." And it doesn't cause a lot of problem. You're not like saying, "Oh my God, what's happening to me?" Nothing like that. But then in life, all of a sudden you wake up and you have a backache. You cannot. This happened to me just recently. I'd gone for long walks about a month ago. All of a sudden my heel had so much pain. And anyway, I don't know if any one of you are doctors here. I've been, they've told me I have, what's it called? There's something underneath the foot. I even forget the name of it. Plantar fasciitis. Thank you. So I have to deal with it. I'm doing stretches, this, that, or the other. I went to the doctor.
Ultrasound massage is the best thing for that. Within 10 sittings or so, you'll get rid of it.
The massage where? Thank you for, just forget about the Gita class.
Ultrasound.
Huh?
Ultrasound.
Ultrasound?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, within 10 or so.
Oh, good. I'll look into that. Anyway, it's already getting better. But the interesting thing is that all these things happen all of a sudden. You don't expect it, but they happen. So this is what is called Ashubhat. So moksha se Ashubhat. And moksha se Ashubhat means that once you get clarity about Atma, Anatma, Brahman, this, all those kinds of things, then really nothing is unexpected. And yes, you do have some expected pain. But the expected pain has no value at all. You can overcome it easily. It's the fact that all of a sudden you get hit by some things that you don't understand. That is called Ashubhat. So, here Krishna says that if you understand this, yat jnatva moksha se ashubhat, you will be free of unexpected problems, any kind of a problem. Then we saw again a little bit of a revision in number 17. Karmanaha hi api bodhavyam. Did we do 17 before? I'm trying to see. Hold on just a second. Let me look at my notes. No, we only done 16. So 17 is new, but it's still a build-up. This is not the main one. The 18th is the main one. So he says, Karmanaha hi api bodhavyam. So he says that what needs to be done should be known. What is important for you to do, and there are some things in life that one should do, like for example the preparation, all the karma yoga. So there, again just a revision, an attitudinal change in your action needs to be understood. Because if you do not understand the true value of karma, then it binds you. And if you understand the true value of karma, then it becomes your shobha. It becomes your value, your property, your value. And so the karma needs to be changed so that even though the presence of the world is around you, but you're no longer bound by it. Here, that example that I gave is a very beautiful example that Swami Paramarthananda gave. That if you are not performing the right action, then there may be a couple of policemen on both sides of you that are preventing you from freedom. But if you have earned the value of karma, then the same two policemen on either side of that becomes your shobha. They are still there, but you are now, this is what is called the whenever there are some people around on both sides of it, like
Like celebrity.
Yeah, like a big celebrity and so on and so forth. And they were just making sure that you are free. Just see the beauty of it. It may seem like they are restricting you, but no. They are in fact making sure that you say, you can tell your security guard, okay, now let's go for dinner. Security guard is not going to say, I'm sorry, you're a prisoner, like this Dera guy, and now he's in a jail, so you cannot go. But before that, he had security guards so that he can protect him. So exactly the same thing. He says that if you know the karma, so just look at this. Our life is full of responsibilities, full of karma. And the way we approach it in the beginning until we are free is that my responsibilities, my karma, my experiences bind me. I wish I was free, but I can't be free because I am restricted from being free by all the things that need to be done, including, by the way, ultimately, your most binding karma is taking care of your own body. Because if you don't, you have problems. You have problems of not eating enough, you have problems of overeating, not eating the right stuff, diseases, all restrictions. But more than that, just the sense of being surrounded by responsibilities that bind you is very present. But if you really change your attitude towards your experiences, like in the case, for example, supposing, I'm talking about the blood drawing. So if you have a young one who's being asked to give blood, they shriek with problems because they magnify it and says, "Oh my goodness, Why is somebody poking me and this is paining so much and why do I have to do this and so on. Now I have grown to a point that I've gotten used to it. It's no big problem. And in fact, the whole tamasha, that happens to me every time. They start with my right arm, then their expression changes, then go to the left arm. If they're clever, they can find it. Otherwise, they have to go to and then they have a kind of like a sheepish smile on their face that I'm sorry I bothered you so much. That means I'm not good enough to really find the veins. No problems. It happens all the time. So the actual experiences are not that important. But it's your attitude towards the experiences that really makes the big difference. Absolutely the big difference. And once you understand, and you see the other thing is, this is where we're leading up to. You cannot have a pleasant attitude towards the world unless you discover your own true worth. Impossible. We are like beggars, honestly. We don't think we have enough money. And so I'm begging for good experiences, pleasant experiences, which is, some money coming in. Because I think that I don't have anything whatsoever. But if I discover that I have something, then whether somebody gives me $5 or $10 or something, I don't care. Here's a very famous, this happens all the time. All the acharyas give this example. And Swami Maheshananji gave this example. He said, I had this old lady who used to come to me. He said, Swamiji, Ishvara has been so unkind to me. So he said, why, what's your problem? He says, Swamiji, I don't have any money and I am always hand to mouth. So Swamiji says, you look like you're a healthy person. Don't you have enough to eat? She says, no, I have enough to eat, but the thing is I don't really have any. You look at my neighbors, they've got making so much money, this, that or the other. Swamiji says, no, you're okay, don't worry about it. So Swamiji said, I got tired of her nagging. So Swamiji said, hey, come, I want to tell you something. Do you know you have 2 lakhs of rupees? So she says, Swamiji, please don't joke with me. I'm telling you I don't have even a single penny. He says, no, I've discovered you have 2 lakhs. So he says, how? He says, I have another devotee whose eyes have failed him. And they're looking for an eye transplant. And I'm looking for a healthy person. And I have a doctor who will do this. So all I need is, we're just asking you to give one of your eyes, not both of them. And you'll get 2 lakhs of rupees. So she said, no, Swamiji, I don't have any money. This is my wealth. You want to take that away? So Swamiji says, don't say that you don't have any money. You already have 2 lakhs. So this is exactly the situation. Really speaking, the fact of the matter is, we have a sense of joy and freedom that we don't know about. Don't know about. We just have to be introduced to it, and we are oblivious of it it's not a question that I remember that example that I gave. This is a very nice example. I don't know if it was in this class or not, but the example of either buying a home or possessing a home that already belongs to me. Was it in this class? Okay, so maybe some said no, or maybe you've forgotten. That's also okay. Either one is okay. So Swami Maheshananji gave this very beautiful example. He said that supposing you want to occupy a nice home, which is big enough for your family and it's in a good neighborhood and so on. There are two possibilities. One is that you don't own the home and you buy it, which means a set of your actions which will enable you to buy the home. Getting enough money, contacting banks for loans, getting some loan guarantee done, all kinds of things, you know that. And then you can occupy the home. But suppose one of your parents says, by the way, I am leaving all of my property to my kids, and I have two homes, and I have one daughter and one son, and I'm giving one home to you and one home to your sister, and it's yours. So now you still don't live in that home, but it is yours. Now, in order to live in the home, all you have to do is to possess it, which means there is a little bit of work involved. It's very possible you may have a renter that you may have a lease on. You have to get that guy out. You may have to sign some papers. So there is some work involved. You haven't really possessed the house yet. But the possession of the home in the second case is entirely different from the possession of the home in the first case. Very different. Actions are there. You still have to go to a lawyer's office and got some papers done, all of that and so on. But in the first case, it's the uncertainty. Can I ever go there? Can I ever possess it? You can't do it. Possibly, yes, maybe not. You have enough money. The second case is it's yours. And there is some irritants involved in getting it done. If it might take 6 months, you may have to pay somebody some money. My son, so we had some property in San Jose. So he said, I think we should buy a different property in San Francisco, which is an older property, and I will get it redone over time, and so the value will increase. So we said, okay, go ahead and do that. So now the question is, so he's got some very old tenants in San Francisco. You cannot get anybody out. It's very difficult, very difficult. So there was this, and there's actually classes given on which property to buy, and it depends on who's living there. If it's an older person, forget it, don't buy it, because unless the person passes off, they're not going to move. So really these are cheat sheets that are given to you. And one of them is, if there's a young woman, please rent it to her, because chances are she'll get married. And then there will be not enough space for both of them. They will move out. And so this is exactly what happened to one of our properties. So my son one day said, Dad, this woman, she is saying that she's getting married to a person in Oakland, and she's willing to move if we give her some money. So I said, okay, how much money? $90,000. So I said, we're not going to pay her $90,000, no way. So Manoj, my son, said, okay, I think I have a plan. I'm going to play possum. I'll say, no way, we're not going to do this. And so this woman, she got a lawyer. And the lawyer wrote us a letter saying, my client wants to move, but she wants $90,000. It has to be paid in 3 installments. All of this, frightening us. We didn't give even a reply. We didn't even dignify them with a reply. So 2 or 3 months passed by. So I used to ask him, I said, what's going on? He says, I don't know. Hasn't said anything. One day, this woman called up and said, Mr. Kapoor, my son, I am willing to move, and I've fired my lawyer. She says, I've fired my lawyer and I'd like to deal with you directly. And then how much, but I do need something. Anyway, to cut a long story short, we settled on $9,000. We gave her $9,000 and it was a good deal for us because now you completely redo the thing and you get more rent and so on and so forth. So even though the place is ours, there may be some work involved to get that done. But it is of a different nature altogether. So similarly, really, the discovery of the Atma is of the second type, not the first type. Praptasya prapti, a possession of the already done. And yes, there is some work involved and this is an interesting work because you yourself don't admit to it. You deny your own self. There's nothing externally that needs to be done. You just need to rework on your own mind, your own thinking, your own attitude. And if you do that, the joy of being yourself becomes more and more visible. And as it becomes more visible, you are courageous enough not to depend on the outside world. This is the process. There's no mystery to it. This is exactly what our Vedic knowledge Vedic Shastra has been saying. There is a process involved of cleaning up your mind and of regaining your own, not regaining, you already have it, but you don't have recognition of your own, so on. So here in this verse number 17, so he says, action is to be known. Karmanaha hi api bodhavyam. The meaning of this is the way to do the karma so that you are free should be known. So here this is a summary of Karma Yoga, which we have already discussed at great length in the third chapter. Bodhyam cha vikarmanaha. Vikarmanaha here means just the opposite. So this is the carrot and the stick approach. So vikarmanaha means that how you hurt yourself should also be known. So again, this is just a summary one, and we can talk more about it. But the more you give credence to your own personality of likes and dislikes, the farther you are going away from your own self. As an example, I mean, we give this example again and again. Take the value of food, something to be eaten. If you approach the food as it should be approached, you are free from the problems of your body. It should be measured, it should be healthy, it should be limited, and it should be devoid of likes and dislikes. In other words, on the other hand, if you eat with the opposite view in mind, that you want to have the joy of eating, this is what happens in our when our acharyas come from India. Although this is happening in India also now, but if the Indians come here and they go to a restaurant and then they serve you, they'll say, enjoy. Bon appetit. So they'll say, wow, this is very interesting. They're not saying, okay, you just have, this. Remember the Saptavada Nyaya? Have you heard of the Saptavada Nyaya? So this guy who goes into a restaurant and said, I'm very hungry. How much, what, do you have vadas that are, deep fried and so on and so forth? They said, yes, sir, we have vadas. Of course we have vadas. So he says, how much does it cost? He says, each vada is 1 rupee. So he says, do you think it will quench my hunger? It will satisfy my hunger? He says, sir, I don't know, but try it, have it. So he had 1 vada. Then he was not, so he had another vada. He was still hungry. So he had 7 vadas. He had 7 vadas, Sapta vada. And then he got up and he gave him 1 rupee. So he says, sir, I want 7 rupees plus tax. Why are you giving me just 1 rupee? He says, it was only on the 7th vada that I was satisfied. I was still hungry, but didn't satisfy me for the first 6 ones. So I am not paying for this. So if the whole attitude is that of enjoy, then which is called vikarmana. You can enjoy if you want to, it's your choice. But you know what? The more you enjoy on the basis of specific things, the less likely are you, the less chances are that you will be likely to understand your own worth. This reminds me of a joke that I heard recently, and I'll come back to this. So the joke is that Modi ji, he doesn't talk to Rahul Gandhi very often. By the way, Rahul Gandhi is coming here. Did you know that? He's coming here. He wants to expand his view of artificial.
And tickets are not selling.
Huh?
Tickets are not selling.
Oh, really? I have a friend who's actually hosting him. I'm very happy he didn't invite me because. Anyway, so Modi ji, he doesn't talk to Rahul Gandhi except they shout at each other. But one day he met him and he says, Rahul, I have a question for you. How many apples can you eat on an empty stomach? So Rahul said, Modi ji, I think I can eat 6. So then Gandhi ji says, wrong. He said, what do you mean by wrong? I'm telling you I can eat 6. He says, once you've eaten 1 apple, your stomach is no longer empty. He says, wow, that's a great joke. That's a great joke. So he picks up the phone, he calls up Vijay Singh. This is his chamcha. He says, Vijay, how many apples can you eat on an empty stomach? So Vijay Singh says, 12. He says, oh my God, you spoiled my joke. If you had said 6, I would have told you a wonderful joke. This is our friend Rahul Gandhi. I have 4 or 5 other jokes, but I'll keep it for next time. So anyway, so there it is said that really vikarmanaha. So yeah, karmanaho api bodhavyam. Bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha. So vikarmanaha here means that one that should not be done. So it's a summary of saying that actions that are prompted by your likes and dislikes, please see that they are binding you even more. So it is very much like unloosening. You have a, what's the English for gaunt? Knot. So you're unloosening a knot. And there is a way of unloosening a knot. You have to find something, and it's not easy to do, but you can do it. But if you do the opposite, you're tightening the knot even more. So similarly here also, karmanoho yapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha. Then, very important thing, akarmanascha bodhavyam. So the first two have to do with either pravritti or nivritti, going towards or going away from it. The third one is the mistaken notion. This is the important and the tough one to really, the mistaken notion that if I don't do anything, I'll be happy. That I just want to close my eyes, and there are things to be done. Your spouse says, "Hey, you have to clean some dishes and so on." He says, "No, honey, I just want to relax today." So now that makes her less relaxed, that you are relaxed, but at least you are relaxed. Okay, all right, you might be relaxed. Okay, so you're sitting there quietly, eyes closed, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. How long are you going to do it? How long are you going to do it? It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Just by not doing things, you are not making any progress. But that's the mistaken notion. Here earlier also in the second chapter and the third chapter, Krishna has pointed out that the very nature of life is action. So by doing no action, you are not going to really get freedom. The freedom comes in while you are free, while you are acting. That is the true freedom. That only comes from the nature of the karma and the nature of your attitudes and so on and so forth. You feel you are bound, but no. Anyway, all of this will come in again in more detail. We'll go to. So here, three cases. Remember this verse number 17. There are three cases. One is right action, one is wrong action, and one is no action. So here Lord Krishna says, these are bodhavyam. Please, they are worth understanding. You have to really get to know the very nature of the three. If you do that, and in fact he says, by the way, gahana karmano gatihi. Gahana karmano gatihi. Because the nature of action is not easy to understand. It can really, it can really fool you. So in order to understand the nature of the karma, you need to make sure that you understand what it is. And then comes the verse that the whole chapter is leading up to it, which is karmani akarma yaf pashyet akarmani cha karma yaha sabuddhiman manushyeshu sayuktah kritsna karma krit. So, if you just look at the word meanings, karmani akarma yaf pashyet. The one who sees actionless inaction. Akarmani cha karma yaha, an action in actionless, is wise among the human beings. That person is united He's a yogi in that sense. One who has accepted the nature of doing that, the very nature of what needs to be done in one's life. In other words, gatihi, in fact, going back to the previous number 17, the word gatihi means the one who reaches the goal. Otherwise, you're still wandering around. You're still wandering around. You haven't reached the where you should be going in your life. So this is what's called gatihi. So it's a yuktaha kritsna karma krit means that. So this is what happens in our life also. You find that our life is full, it's like a journey. Like a journey. And the journey means when you get tired, you rest for a while. This is the nature of journeys. And it happens to all of us. You do something and you feel, wonderful, I'm very happy. Very happy. So you ask somebody, says, you're happy? He says, yeah, I'm happy. I've got, everything is all taken care of, everything, I'm fine, everything, okay. The other person should start looking at the watch. How long is he going to be happy? After maybe next day you say, what's happened? Are you still happy? Well, a couple of things have come up and I'm on my... So what it means is our life is a journey where there is no long resting period. It's one stop after another. Each stop has some elements of reaching the goal, but not really. Not really. You keep going, keep going, keep going. Where am I going? What is the final thing where I want? So really speaking, if you look at it, our final goal is to be happy without doing anything. This is our final goal. But I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. And I can simulate it by just for the time being. And in fact, the best simulation is the night time. All you have to do is to make sure the pillow is nice and you have enough, blankets on you and so on and so forth. And then you simulate it by not doing anything. That one Ishvara allows you. Okay. But your karmas wake you up in the morning. It says, hey, time to get up. And if nothing else, you have to go to the bathroom. That's the one thing that wakes you up. Even if and otherwise, alarm will ring or somebody will say, hey, are you okay? Well, what's wrong with it? You normally get up at 6 o'clock, it is 8. I just was worried about you. And you said, do not be worried about me, let me just sleep in. People will not let you sleep in. There are things to be done. So you cannot have any kind of a final resting place. Hunger in the morning, breakfast. So the final resting place is, you feel that maybe the resting place is just being dead. No. Because the dead means you've gotten separated from the body, you are someplace else moving around, looking for another body somewhere. That's no rest. In fact, that's a lot of work because now you have to, they say, punarjarmana vidyate. So this is all given as an example that a new life is not known. Why? Because the process of going into new life is full of problems. You have to be in your mom's tummy for 9 months. You cannot move. And whatever she does, you have to just take care of. And then after you're born, the birth itself is very painful. And then for a number of years, you are purely at the mercy of people around you. Not easy. Finally, after that, then you become your own free person. And then you fall in love. Now you are bound by somebody else. You get married. It's just on and on and on. And so the sense of freedom is just not there. So, out of these, the person who's able to see the funniness in all of this, and the funniness is presented here very beautifully. Karmani akarma yaf pashyet. That even when the actions are going on, you understand the non-action. And when there is no action going on, you see the actions. Only that person has figured it all out. Kritsna karma krit. So here, this is a methodology used by all the books in Vedanta, where complete opposites are given in order to force you to understand what is going on. Out of action, no action. Out of no action, action. One which is bigger than the biggest, smaller than the smallest. So these pair of opposites are specifically given in terms of what you have to understand. And so this contradiction is a very important tool in the hands of the Shastra. So we will study that in great detail, but in couple of more minutes, I just want to give you one example of karmani cha karma yaf pashyet. Akarmani cha karma yaf pashyet. He says, where there appears to be actionless, there is actually action. So just look at that part of it for the time being. The first one and the whole thing we will do next time. So here, a very interesting thing to see. I'll just leave you with that thought, and then we'll go on. What appears to be stationary is in fact not stationary. What appears to be non-moving is actually moving. When you look at a table, the table appears to be non-moving. But if you realize the actions that are going on inside of that, there are atoms and electrons and neutrons, all these things that are moving continuously at a frightening speed with a lot of power, repelling each other, and yet they are held together in a way that appears to be stationary. So none of the things that you see are stationary. So for example, you and I are sitting here and talking for about an hour and a half. We don't understand that you are moving at 80,000 miles per second. And I am also moving at 80,000 miles per second. And by the way, that is not enough. That is only I'm just picking out some number, right? I don't know what it is. It is not just the rotation of the Earth. The Earth itself is moving in a frightening pace within our galaxy, and the whole galaxy is moving at a frightening pace. You cannot believe how fast you are moving. That is the truth. And that truth is not known to us. And so, akarmani sa yak karma yaf pashyet. So there it is said that the wise person understands that really the whole thing is just a make-believe. Everything is moving fast. There's a lot of karma going on without you and I understanding it. And then karmani ya akarma yaf pashyet, that in the action there is something which is not moving. And so here this is a presentation of the analysis of Atma and Anatma, an understanding of both of them, which we will begin in the next class. I'll make a note of it that we won't spend any more time building up to it, and I think in the next 2 or 3 classes it will be an important one, because we'll revisit the essence of the Gita. And I think we'll also supplement it with some meditation, so you're able to see things more clearly. But with that, the verse number 18, which is the beginning of the Jnana section of chapter 4, will begin. So we'll do that next time. Om asato ma satkamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om purnamadav purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnam pavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Any questions? Well, one thing I wanted to inform you. You remember, and I think I did it in the other class, I didn't do it here. You remember we were talking about a more of a review of the fundamentals using the first chapter of the Panchadashi. I think I had mentioned that, and I had mentioned that most probably after the end of the 4th chapter we will take a break from the Gita class and then move over to Panchadashi and then come back here. Remember, that's how we are presented. So I thought more about it and I've changed the plans a little bit. What I think I'm going to do is to still go to that first chapter of Panchadashi, which goes into the fundamental analysis of Atma and Atma in much more structured and beautiful way. I think you will enjoy that. But we will do that on Tuesday night. Not interrupting the, so the Gita will continue, and if you're not able to come to the Tuesday night, I'm happy that we are recording these things, and I invite you to just listen in. But I do encourage most of you, especially the new ones, to kindly look into that class. I think you will get a lot out of it. So the plan at the moment is that at a suitable stopping point, probably sometime in October, we will probably by the, we'll finish one verse of the Dakshinamurti Stotram, and then I'll switch over to, so I'll do the same thing there in the sense that I would go back to Dakshinamurti Stotram. I want to finish it. I started something and I'd like to finish it. But we'll take Panchadashi for, I think, roughly about 6 months on the Tuesday night class. And if that's difficult for you to get to, then what I encourage you to do is to just listen to it, the recordings of it, rather than coming. Yes, Rani?
I have 2 questions. The Tuesday night class, one can also join remotely. Is there a dial-in number for that or no?
No, so then it's also put on YouTube, And also, so that is and it's being streamed, I believe, right? It's been streamed also, so you can listen to it, you can watch it live, or you can listen to it on the audio, which is on our website. Or if it's been put on YouTube, then you can look at the video of it.
Also, is next Saturday there is no class because you had mentioned up till today was...
So no, next Saturday, subject to my confirmation with them, which I'll do that today itself, it will move back to, to Jan Temple. Yeah. Yeah.
Since we are talking about action and no action and all that, so we cannot not do anything because, we're here and, it is what it is. You gotta do something that, maybe you're a student, you gotta study, you're a teacher, you have to teach, or whatever. You're a mother, you have to take care of a child. And I was going through some other stuff on the internet, and they keep talking about inspired action or something like that. So, what is that? How does Vedic view relate to that?
To relate to what? Sorry, what were they saying?
Inspired action. That
Inspired
you
action.
have to do something has been inspired.
Yeah.
I don't know. Krishna inspired Arjuna to fight because that was you were supposed
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
So how do we know what we are?
So that's obviously is an important question. So, but it has a relatively easy answer, not a very complicated answer. And the answer is that you are at any one time in your life, because of the history of where you were before, whatever, good or bad or something, okay? So what you now need to do is to recognize the ongoing actions that need to be done as a result of your previous situation. So this is what is called prarabdha karma. The prarabdha karma means one which has, prarabdha means prak arabdham yasya, the one whose beginning has been well begun, beyond your control. There's nothing else you can do. Okay? So the prarabdha karma needs to be fulfilled to the best of your ability. And you have the ability. Your prarabdha karma will always be consistent with your ability to fulfill them. So one cannot say that I am unable to do it. If you are unable to do it, that means also that is a prarabdha karma. That's also part of it. So the karmas in one's life should be divided between prarabdha karma and kamya karma. Kamya karma means new desires, new karmas that you have a fancy for. This is called kamya karma. Okay? Prarabdha karmas are karmas that are a result of your previous life. Not only previous life, but also the previous portion of this life. Okay? So, if you have not yet been introduced to the reality of who you are, then chances are that you will be very busy in doing kamya karma, because it feels good to do things that one's heart desires. Okay, that's the law of life. You always have certain, you want to do something and you do it, you feel good about it. But if the topic of Atma Jnanam, if the very subject of final understanding of what's going on is being introduced to you, then it is recommended that try to do most of your karma based on prarabdha karma, not kamya karma. So the kamya karma, obviously we have desires. We were talking about, enjoying food. It's not as though tomorrow you start going and just eating raw food and healthy food, and that's not the point. But the whole attitude of leading a life based on individual experiences should be replaced by doing things that you are enjoined to do because of your situation, taking care of a child, sick mother, whatever it is. That should be done. One should not avoid that. But any discretionary time that you have should be used for self-inquiry, which itself will take time. It's not an easy thing to do, because the layers of falseness about who we are so thick, like peeling the onion. You keep on peeling the onion and there's a new problem that comes up. So you keep doing that, but the end point is a self-inquiry to understand you don't need external help to make you happy. Your nature is joy, and you please discover it. So that's the kind of a rough guideline between what to do. So in terms of, I don't know what the internet is talking about, maybe talking about something good, or I don't have no idea about inspired action. But the actions to be done are already prescribed by you. So exactly what 17 says, karmanohapi bodhavyam. In fact, if you look at the English translation, action enjoined by the scriptures. Scriptures means that one which has gone through the wisdom of understanding the type of actions, follow that. And that means prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma has to be, whatever your duty is, you have to fulfill that. If you don't do that, then you're creating some new problems. Viren?
Sir, how do you distinguish between kamya karma and prarabdha karma?
So there, I think it's not that difficult. When you do some action, ask yourself, is it something that so really it's a question of duty. If you have certain duties towards things, including duties to your own body, mind, to keep itself healthy. In order to do self-inquiry, you have to be healthy. If you are negligent towards your own body, either not eating enough, not sleeping enough, or oversleeping, overeating, all of those, so some kind of a happy medium, then your self-inquiry will not have enough fruit. So the way to answer your question would be, it's not that difficult. You ask yourself, why am I doing something? Why am I doing something?
If something comes spontaneously that you feel like doing it?
So if something comes, you have to look at the utility of it. You have to look at the utility of it. My own case, I am really just how my life has changed. I mean, I was such an avid sports person. Really, I was a good sports person myself. And I used to watch a lot of sports because comes naturally to me. And slowly I have to say, why is that important to me? Why do I have to play? I used to practice tennis. And, I grew up with ping pong and this, that, or the other. Finally, slowly it dawned on me. And I'm very happy that there was a proposal made that let's take up golf. And I said, no. Golf means 4 hours and 2-3 times a week? Why? Just hitting this ball? Why? And not only that, but even sports, watching sports is gone. Gone. This US Open tennis and so on, if I'm eating some food or something, I can look at it. But to follow that, who won and semifinals, and this waste of my time. And it's taken me several years to come to that point. So to distinguish... Huh?
That is going towards sannyas.
Yeah, it's going towards sannyas in that sense, but you can take mental sannyas even while you are young. It's your own attitude. It doesn't mean that you have to,
No, I mean, it comes naturally. You don't have to do it. Sannyas happens.
Yes, exactly right. Yep. People are starting to move and leave, so that's a good sign that I should end the class. I don't want to be the only one sitting here, but everybody else is left.